Hey guys, here's another live from the RV series video for you. Today I want to clear something up about sewer systems. It's funny, when we just are living our normal lives, we think a lot about toxic food and smoking and stuff. I mean, I'm sure you talk to your wife or husband or kids about, eating organic and eating healthy, and there are just these certain things that we notice, and there's other things that we have blind spots for. Toxic sewer systems and almost all of them are toxic, and that's something that we often have a blind spot for, and I'm going to explain a little bit why I think that is. Okay, let me just think about where to start here. So, one of the things about mold is that natural molds, like found out in the middle of the wilderness, are actually not that dangerous. Some of them are, but a lot of them just won't hurt you. The kind of mold that we call super toxins is generally when mold gets mixed up with chemicals. Eric was once walking at a compost farm, and then he went next door to a chemical factory, and neither one bothered him. But when he went down a creek where the compost mixed with the chemicals and made like a moldy chemically mix, that was what really screwed him up. And science has proven that mold, when it mixes with chemicals, it makes these really bad mycotoxins. Maybe the mold is feeling threatened by the chemicals, and so it's producing defensive mycotoxins. The mold can also turn the chemicals into nanoparticles and package it in a nice little mold nanoparticle packet. So this makes the chemical a lot smaller, and also because mold avoiders can't detox mold, when you combine the chemical with the mold, it's a packet of badness that gets inside the body that we can't get rid of because we can't detox the mold part of it. So it gets smaller in a nanoparticle, the chemical does, and it also is a part of a mold packet. So think about what sewer systems are. When people flush the toilet and their, poo-poo and pee-pee goes down the toilet, generally there's also a lot of other bad stuff that's going down the drain. People are using cleaning chemicals and, solvents and Windex and dish soap and laundry detergent and fragrances and everything. This stuff all goes into the same sewer. It's not like there's separate places. And a lot of it sits in these big sewage tunnels underground. And so I think if people were just going to the bathroom in the wilderness, the mold wouldn't be that bad. In fact, I have a friend actually who bought some land, and he's been using a pit toilet on his land. Basically just a hole in the ground where you go to the bathroom in, and he says that it's not toxic at all. Just the human waste portion of, sewage isn't necessarily toxic. But when you mix, you give mold that organic food to eat and medium to live in, which is the human waste part of it, and then you add in all the chemicals that we use. I mean, think about household chemicals that most people use in America. It's disgusting. I mean, every chemical you can imagine, it all goes into the ground. And of course, we don't see it, so we don't talk about it. It all goes into the ground. Nobody sees it. Nobody talks about it. It's not on our frame of reference. It's gross to talk about. And then it all mixes up and sits down there and sits in sewage treatment facilities. And then these molds in there make these super toxins that make us sick. So when you hear me talking about camping off the grid and being away from sewer systems, it's very significant. Just because you don't see it doesn't mean it's not making you sick, right? I mean, we have designed sewer systems on purpose to be out of the way and invisible because it's gross and nobody wants to talk about it. But that doesn't mean that it isn't making you sick, right? So just because you can't see it, and just because it's not societally and socially comfortable to talk about, doesn't mean that it's not a big deal. And so this is one big reason why camping at campgrounds that don't have sewer systems can be very healing because it gives your body a break from these contaminations. Now, I think that if people in RVs and campgrounds didn't use toxic chemicals, that the sewage systems would be a lot less bad. But the reality is maybe there's only 2% of the people there that are conscious of this. The rest of the people in their RV black tanks, right? That's my RV black tank. They're not only pooping and peeing in there, but they're dumping, it's so counterproductive. These RV companies, when you buy a new RV, they send you home with these little pellets that you put in that are supposed to make your black tank smell fresher, right? Well, guess what? These are all, toxic synthetic chemicals that really make the molds mad, and the mold produces worse toxins. So black tanks, that's the RV tank where you put your sewage. People are filling these things up with all of these chemicals. Now, I have never put anything in my black tank, ever, just other than, human waste for my family. And whenever I dump it, it's not toxic. I mean, it stinks. It's not like I like it. And it's probably toxic, and, it's not like it's I'm not saying anyone should get close to sewage. It's dangerous. It has, bacteria in it, whatever. But I'm just saying I don't react to it in the same way that I react to toxic sewers. So this is something that we need to talk about. It kind of reminds me of how, no one talks about trash. We have landfills that are overflowing with toxic waste. We have parts of the ocean that have islands of plastic trash. We have, seals and penguins, getting strangled and sliced in half by human waste and, bottles and cans and stuff. Out of sight, out of mind. That's the way humans are. We don't talk about this stuff. We don't take responsibility for it. And I think the toxic nature of sewage systems is huge. I mean, think about if you're near a huge city where there's, a couple million people that live. That's millions of gallons of sewage every single day, along with, tens of thousands, gallons of chemicals being mixed together underground constantly. And all those sewage systems have ventilation. The sewer caps on the streets that you see, those are not airtight. The whole sewage systems are not airtight, so the gases and the mold spores and the toxins are constantly coming out of there. It is extremely toxic, especially to mold sick people. So not a popular topic, but this is an important topic to explain why RV sewer systems are bad. Other aspects, like I'm at a campground right now, and it's not very toxic. There's a power hookup, there's a water hookup. It's just the sewer system that's usually the worst part of it. In fact, the whole one of the super toxins we talk about a lot is a super toxin that is believed to occur when a particular solvent chemical gets in the sewer system. And a couple of the really bad areas around Lake Tahoe that have the super toxin, there's actually records of different, maybe even criminal groups illegally dumping solvent chemicals in, just irresponsibly dumping them on the hillside, and they end up, dripping down into the sewer systems where the human waste is and where these molds can grow. So this is a very real thing. This is one of the super toxins that's keeping Lyme disease and mold patients sick. So anyway, that's the significance of this topic. I wish I wasn't the one that had to talk about it, because I don't like it either, but someone's got to do it. All right. Hope you guys have a good night.